welcome back to my channel. So this has been a pretty intense start to 2025. For some good news though, my book, Everything But Money, is finally out, and not only that, it's a national bestseller, guys. So thank you for buying it. For some not so good news though, we in Canada, us Canadians, are on the cusp of a trade war with the United States. So yeah, I don't know about you, but I have been following the news all weekend, and it is very hard to follow because honestly, it seems like every day something changes. And it is just, it's intense and stressful. And I mean, honestly, if I made this video a few days earlier, I'm pretty sure that all of the information that I would have shared would have been old news. I do want to kind of catch you up a little bit in case you're like, what the hell is happening? So Trump said he was going to impose 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods, with the exception of 10% tariffs on energy products on Tuesday, February 4th. Then Trudeau threatened retaliatory 25% tariffs on American goods and started calling on Canadians to stop buying American and start buying Canadian. Then many of the provincial governments threatened their own retaliatory actions, such as banning all American-made alcohol from provincial liquor stores. Awesome. Super, super great. But none of that happened, because at the 11th hour, Trudeau and Trump came to an agreement to pause tariffs for a month, with the promise that the Canadian government would up border security to crack down on the infiltration of drugs into the US. Why do I feel like a news reporter? Also, just to be clear, because there's still a lot of confusion online about what a tariff is and how it works, a tariff is simply a tax imposed by a country's government on imports or exports of goods. By Trump imposing a 25% tariff on imported Canadian goods into their country, this means American importers of those goods would have to pay a 25% tax. But they won't simply absorb this extra cost. They would flow that extra cost to their American customers by increasing their prices, ultimately making it more expensive for Americans to buy Canadian products. This would effectively de-incentivize Americans from buying Canadian-made products because of their higher price point, and would thus persuade them to buy American-made products instead. Now, the result of this happening, well, there would be less demand for Canadian products, leading to Canadian businesses losing money, which would negatively impact the Canadian economy at large, potentially pushing us all into a recession. Not only that, it could impact the Canadian dollar, with its value dropping compared to the American dollar, and it could also see the Canadian stock market take a hit as well. Now, the same goes for Canada. If Trudeau imposes his own tariffs, it would eventually make American-made products imported into Canada more expensive for Canadians to purchase. But the good news is no tariffs have been imposed yet. But just because there is this month's pause, which is great, that does not mean it will never happen. So we need to be prepared. And that's what I want to focus on in this video. With so much uncertainty and instability, once again with the economy, what can you do on an individual level to create some certainty and stability in your own financial life? Now, number one, stay calm. I talk about this at length in my book, but the worst thing that you could do with your finances is to let your emotions dictate your financial decision making. To be money wise is to be basically an emotionless robot who does not waver no matter how outrageous the news headlines or social media posts get. Stay calm. Breathe. Check in with yourself, and if you feel like doing something rash, ask yourself, what's driving me right now? Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is it panic? Then don't do anything until you calm back down and can think rationally again. Number two, start paying attention to what you're buying. I know even the threat of tariffs started making Canadians everywhere think more consciously about what products they were actually buying, which I honestly think is a great thing. Too often we are buying stuff without looking at the ingredients or the dollar to unit cost or where it's from. But don't forget, every dollar you spend is a vote on what your values are and what kind of companies you want to support. As a small business myself, I try my best to support other local small businesses instead of simply going to the big corporations and spending my money with them. So do an inventory of what grocery store you go to, and is there a better alternative that's maybe less evil? What products are you buying? Who makes them? And who am I supporting? And just really take a good look at where is my money going? Number 3, if you feel scared about a possible recession or just generally financially uncertain, let's try to be more mindful of our spending by hitting pause or cutting back on some things that we've been mindlessly spending money on. For example, I know I have way too many TV subscriptions. I mean, there's no possible way I can watch enough TV to make them all worth their fees. So personally, I'm hitting unsubscribe on a few of them to free up some money so I can instead put it into savings or just do something better or different with it. So take a look at, say, the past 3 or even 6 months of your spending and really ask yourself, do I need this? Do I want this? Does this make me happy anymore? And can I afford this? Number 4, prioritize your emergency fund. Do you have 3 to 6 months or more of your living expenses saved up in cash in a high interest savings account? No? Then make that your top priority right now. I know from working with countless financial counseling clients over the years that one thing to make you feel less stressed and anxious about money is by having some in the bank in case something happens. Having cash gives you options, so make sure you've got that emergency fund. Number 5, don't do anything stupid with your investments, and especially don't make any investment decisions based on predictions of what could happen, because it may not happen. There's a really great quote that I pulled from the latest TLDR newsletter from Wealthsimple, which you should absolutely subscribe to. They do such a great job of researching and writing that newsletter, so definitely check it out. But it said to diversify your portfolio because bad things happen to different countries, assets, and industries at different times, which is why you don't want to be over-concentrated in any one region or sector. And remember, all sorts of studies suggest that individual investors who panic sell during moments of uncertainty tend to lose more money than those who stay put. So what are you supposed to do? Well, make sure you're in a properly diversified portfolio, like in a portfolio of index funds, giving you exposure to stocks and bonds from Canada, the US, international markets, and emerging markets. And do not pull out your investments. I saw way too many people do this exact thing during the stock market panic of March 2020. And guess what happened? They lost a ton of money. Number 6. Along the same lines, don't fixate on short-term fluctuations in the stock market. I'm sure we're in for a wild ride with the stock market if these past few weeks are any indication. So buckle up, but when it comes to investing, you've got to think long-term. If you're investing for your kid's college education, which is 16 years away, or your own retirement, think long-term. It doesn't matter what the market does tomorrow. You care about what it does over the course of the next few decades. And then as you get closer to your target date, make sure to adjust your portfolio so it's less risky. And that means add more bonds to your portfolio. Now, if you're wondering what I plan to do with my money this year, I'm going to take my own advice. I'm going to be more mindful of my spending and what companies I'm supporting. I'm definitely going to cut back on a few things that, honestly, I've probably wasted a ton of money on just from not canceling the thing or seeing if there's a cheaper alternative. I definitely want to support more local and Canadian businesses, so drop some of your favorite ones in the comments. I'd love to know, for anything from groceries to clothing to makeup to anything you can think of. I'd love to know what some of your favorite Canadian companies are. And, I'm just gonna, take it easy with my money this year because I don't know what to expect, but I'm definitely gonna focus on, spending within my means, saving some cash, and investing for my future as always.